Hey everybody, this is Hex and Chill. We are your hosts, Shay, Kay, and Lou, and we're doing something a little different today. We are sipping on some Sinfully Cherry Green Tea made by the Spice and Tea Exchange. We're doing this because we're going to try out tea reading.
We don't know.
Tea leaf reading.
Yeah, none of us have done it before. It's a practice that is done a lot in witchcraft, and we are really curious about all kinds of divination. We love tarot. We love smoke reading. We've talked about, diving into scrying. And so we were like, what a great opportunity to all sip on some tea, loose tea. It has to be loose tea, and see what we get at the end of this podcast.
I finally got to use my mom's china. So you're welcome, Mom. I'm sure this is not what you thought it would be used for, but thank you.
So if you hear us doing a little slurp, please don't mind. That is why we're actually trying to do something. We're trying to do something.
Really important. Okay, it's fine.
We also are going to be talking about crystals today. Our Shay here is very...
Our Shay here.
Our Shay here. We also are going to be talking about...
Shay, who art in heaven.
Our Shay, who art in heaven. Hello, be Daphne.
Hollowed.
We also are going to be talking majority of the time about crystals because we all really enjoy crystals. Me and Lou have been diving more into crystal work and figuring out what it means to us. But Shay here has been really into crystals for years now, has a great collection we're going to be showing you later this week. And she's going to drop some knowledge about crystals today. We're just kind of interview her, ask questions, and have fun.
Yeah, I hope you guys are ready. Because, listen, I have a lot of knowledge about these crystals. But before we do that, we need to go ahead and set up our sacred circle. Ours is already set up. We are welcoming fire, air, water, and earth. And you can go ahead and open up your sacred circle as you listen to our information on this podcast.
Let's get started. All right, Shay. Okay, so I will say when I first heard about crystals, they didn't really resonate with me. They are beautiful. Like, I love the look of them, but they never really hit spiritually for me because I didn't really understand them.
Yes, I'm also thinking about when I was a kid. Who did you guys also go through a crystal collecting or rock collecting phase?
Or when you went mining? And
yes, I loved that shit.
We lived in Colorado, so mining was very important.
Yeah. But I remember even my nephew, he had crystals and geodes and rocks, and just very from a scientific perspective of these are really cool, beautiful rocks. And that's really all of the knowledge that I had coming into it. And so very similarly to Kay, not feeling a spiritual tie as much, but also obviously recognizing the natural beauty because holy shit, that stuff is rocks from the earth and they're so beautiful.
Yeah, we were discussing what we wanted to talk about for crystals because me and Lou don't have a lot of information about it. And so we each kind of sat down and thought about what time in our life a crystal actually helped or was meaningful because we have been trying to use crystals more in our practice since Shay has been introducing. She gifted us several crystals. Mm-hmm. I got several from my mom, and I just have been trying to find meaning in each of them and which one's called to me because I think Shay's going to kind of dive into how some really do call to some people and some don't. And it wasn't until the other day where I was having a really negative moment with someone and it just kind of weighed on me and I felt really overwhelmed and I felt really heavy and I was laying in bed and I just when that pit in your stomach, when you get knotty in your stomach and you just feel icky. Mm-hmm. I had that. And I just was all of a sudden I thought about this little black heart crystal I have. What is it, Shay? What crystal? That little black heart one.
The black heart?
Mm-hmm.
Labradorite.
Yeah. So I went and I grabbed the labradorite. I don't even know the names. You just saw. I had to ask Shay what crystal I grabbed. And that is honestly really important for people who don't know crystals. Just go with your instincts. And I grabbed it and I just held it in my hand in bed and I immediately felt this peace. It just was it felt like it absorbed and I don't even know what labradorite does. Is it meant for
Shay's
Shay?
Yeah.
Yeah. We all looked at Shay, guys. We're like, hello?
Do you want me to look through this?
Yeah. So Lou's going to look through our mineralogy deck, but from what I understand, it is a crystal that's meant to ground you and make you feel just kind of more connected to the earth, maybe to your intuition, but also it's protective as well. It does have a lot of protective properties. So like if there is an energy that's bothering you, then this is a great way to ward that off.
Well, and it was the feeling I was dealing with was feeling insecure, like I was misunderstood and like not truly seen. Like my practice, my journey that I've been on is silly. Like that was the energy that was giving towards me. So the fact that it's a grounding one is important, I think.
So according to our mineralogy deck, the metaphysical properties of labradorite include earth magic, faith, patience, imagination, introspection, strength, sleep, protection, stress relief, calming, divination, strengthening convictions, courage, facilitating transformation.
Wow.
Which, like, again, like in turn, like how you just intuitively went and grabbed that one, and it was, again, helped calm you down.
Help me sleep.
Yeah. Help bring you through that, like just thinking about your transformation as a whole and thinking about like you felt invalidated in your journey as a witch. Like labradorite was there to be like, listen, girl, I got the vibes. I'm going to raise your energy right back up to where mine is so that you can kind of accept that and move forward.
That's cool. So like people out there who are listening and don't get crystals, I think once you become more knowledgeable, you can gravitate to ones that you need in the moment. A lot of our spells call for ones that enhance things. And this is just an example of like, if you don't know a lot, it's okay. Like just trust your intuition because a lot of times it's spot on.
And also just that whole interaction. Shay is definitely our crystal expert, but she doesn't know everything. We still had to look that up. And I think that is like that also, I don't know, whenever I'm listening to people talk about stuff and I'm like, oh, well, I'm never going to be like them because they literally know everything. I think our group does a really great job of recognizing we don't have all of the information, but we do know a lot about some stuff. And I just love that. And it's very intuition led.
All right, Lou, do you have a story about crystals? Because I would like to hear from you.
Yes. So when I was meditating and thinking and reflecting about if I have had any meaningful crystal experiences, and really the first one that I ever had was when my sister took me to get a birth chart reading and all of this. And I think it wasn't a tarot reading, but we did my birth chart and it was a bunch of other stuff and it was really cool. And then they also recommend a color and then they give you a bracelet or a necklace. And mine was green and I think I got jade, just like a jade necklace. And it was very beautiful. And again, it was the more of the experience and I didn't feel super connected to my green beads or anything like that. But I don't know, that was kind of my first, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. But then when I was looking through the mineralogy deck, looking for labradorite so we could learn more information about that, I saw tourmaline and I recently just got a tourmaline ring. And so it caught my eye and I was reading through it and you guys are going to find this crazy too. So the metaphysical is weight loss, creativity, success, prosperity, attracting love, meditation, grounding, understanding, the root of all problems. I had just got done telling these ladies that I've been really sick over the last week and a half and I've lost a ton of weight, not on purpose, but that's also when I started wearing this ring and I'm like, was this a double whammy?
It was like, here, we're going to give you the skunk bug.
I know.
Blessings.
Blessings. But anyways, I thought it was crazy.
No, that is cool. Like
it does work, and sometimes it works in ways that you don't think it will.
Correct.
Yeah, like it just hit you in the right moment. Like,
So now that you guys have said a little bit about y'all's experience with crystals, so you've already named that I am no expert, and I for sure am not. You also asked if we had collected or went through a rock collecting phase when we were kids. And you both were like, yes, we grew up in Colorado. That's that's a big thing. I actually never did. Like, that wasn't a thing for me. But you unlocked a memory that I do remember when I was probably in middle school, like getting like a piece of like agate that was like maybe from the, I don't know, Air and Space Museum. And it was like dyed. So it wasn't like a naturally occurring rock or anything. But I remember carrying that around a lot and just having it. And I thought it was fascinating and it looked pretty or whatever. But then after that, crystals weren't on my radar until about 2018. And I got super duper into this metaphysical world where I started watching people's live sales on Instagram. I really just got into it like by chance. Like I was not looking to purchase crystals and just started watching these people talk about what energies crystals have and what metaphysical properties they have as well. And so I got really curious and I was like asking all these questions. And I think part of the reason I felt really connected to crystals is because of the community. A lot of people within that community were very much like, oh, you have questions? We have answers and we want to tell them to you. They weren't gatekeeping it or like making it any sort of thing that was like, oh, this is weird.
To jump on that real quick, I've been really enjoying being a part of like the witch talk and different things like that because the community I've found, and I know there's bad parts of it, but majority of the time it's all like that. Like really supportive, really like, hey, I feel like we're baby witches from the beginning, or don't even call yourself a baby witch because everyone is learning. Like I saw one lady say that. She's like, I hate the word baby witch because we're all on a journey and it doesn't matter where you are on the journey, you are a witch. So like that community of the crystals, it's like you feel that very positive, loving, accepting, and it just drew you in.
Yeah. And I think honestly, that's how a lot of people can kind of get started, especially in witchcraft, because when you think about crystals, this is a naturally occurring thing that the earth made over hundreds of thousands of years, right? There's an honoring in like having something so beautiful and just having it sit in your hand that was just made by chemicals or elements over time, water and earth just coming together and forging some sort of gem. That's really how I started because I was like, oh, these are so pretty rocks. I love it. And again, like Lou was saying, like it was all intuition based, right? Like I did not know, oh, I need to look for I need to find some quartz and I need to make sure that I have labradorite and I need to make sure that I have celestite
all the right ones.
Or whatever, right? Yeah. I was literally just looking and I was like, wow, that's just really pretty.
That one really close to me.
I like that. It looks good. I think I could find a place in my house where that would look good. It really started as I'm just putting things in my house. Buying crystals genuinely started as like a house decorating moment. Like I was just trying to put things on my shelves and make my house look cool. That's it. It wasn't like I had a very specific thing that I was going for. But then
it's your aesthetic. You're like, yeah, this feels good. Like this, right?
Well, yeah. And then I started learning more about how like each crystal has an energy and certain properties. And that's when I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I just chose rose quartz just because I like the color pink and I think this looks good in my house. And lo and behold, I actually am in a lot of need of self-love right now. And it just found me on its own.
I'm getting chills hearing you talk about this just because I love it.
Right. Like, I think, too, there's like a lot of love to be had going to an actual crystal shop or metaphysical shop and actually finding crystals and holding them in your hand and buying them that way. But I never really enjoyed that as much because there is this, again, camaraderie in like an Instagram live or a TikTok live sales. It was a community where I could watch someone have a bunch of different, so it could be a bunch of different rose quartz hearts. There's a ton of them. And I can just look at all of them all at once and they just show it and they show the price and whoever claims it, that's what they get, right?
It's like you're watching, like, when you like watch old ladies on infomercials and they're like, you can get these $6 right now. And you're like,
that's the one I want.
That's the one.
It is. And it got a little addicting for me because
that dopamine rush.
There is a dopamine rush. Absolutely. Especially when you are trying to claim something that you feel really called to and also 6 other people also feel called to it and you win and you are the fastest. Then you're like, yes.
It's like gambling, but with the crystals.
It is a little bit.
I remember this point because Shay got really into it and at one point, she was like, I'm buying too much. I'm losing all, like, I'm spending so much money. But she was getting all these beautiful pieces and she would show me and I was like, wow, this is like, like some of the big ones you bought. And you're like, I spent way too much on this. But I was like, yep, but it's so pretty.
I mean, and then you start to think about like, so as you're like as you're buying and you're learning, there's so many different like things that make things so much more expensive. So like I have a giant smoky quartz crystal. The shop that I shop with, shout out to Our Mother's Crystals, they have this thing called showstoppers. And these are like the biggest honking pieces that they've got in this particular sale. And I ended up buying one. When I got it, there's so many different inclusions. So like you can see how the light reflects certain elements that were trapped inside of the crystal at different points in time, how it reflects rainbows. And there's these things called phantoms, and they're like these different, it's almost like there was a point that was about to be formed, but then it wasn't. It was just trapped in time. And then another point was made instead. And it's just really
So
cool to think about it because, again, it's like history. Like I have a direct connection to the mother just by holding this piece in my hand.
That history point like connects it almost more for me because I'm a huge history buff. So thinking about one of the first cultures, like they could be looking at these rocks. That time is captured and my time is captured. You know, like it has that whole, it's like looking at a tree, you know, all the rings.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of trees, you can also get petrified wood, which is wood that's literally crystallized because of how old it is or whatever elements have, gone through it, right? It's really, really cool because, again, like you're seeing these little just snapshots of time. Could have been millennia ago. And again, I mean, I know you love the history piece, but I'm like, man, the science behind it.
Science, yeah.
Ugh, so cool.
Just sitting here listening to you talk about it this way. So when I'm trying, quote unquote, still trying to get into crystals, I'm very much bought in. Like even the history and the science aspect, it's so just all of that makes it so cool to me. But what I really struggle with is feeling like the water or the fire hydrant full of water, just so overwhelming because I'm like, okay, these are the things I'm struggling with. So these are the types of crystals I'm looking for. And then you're looking for it, but I couldn't find, I'm like, it doesn't feel called to. So I love that you're like, no, I literally just started to decorate my house. And then my intuition led me. And that's when I was like, holy moly, this is awesome.
And sometimes I think that's the best way to do things like that. Like when you're doing a tarot reading, you're not finding cards, you're pulling, you're letting the divination. But I also think, and when you know the crystals like Shay does, like she pulled certain crystals for our trip and they were very specific for protection, for like guidance and divination for what we wanted for this trip. So it's also great to have someone who has the knowledge, but then also great to just trust your instincts. Like that is something that I'm learning right now about the instincts.
Well, and okay, so when I think about herbs, so we all did that with herbs. Like when we did our very first spell, when we wanted to do like the spell of 3 that we did and everything, we just picked herbs and we did. And so I don't know why it's taking right now to have this conversation to click and be like, oh, we can just use our intuition and then see what it means. And then when you have that knowledge, so now if a rando was to come to me on the street and be like, Lou, I somehow know your name. I need herbs for anxiety. I can be like, oh, well, you need lavender and you need rose and you need because I know that already because I've been so familiar with it.
Yeah. Like I can't tell you how many times I have been in a situation, especially when I first started getting into it, when I started learning all of that information, I was like, oh, whoa, this is a lot. But from that, I have used that knowledge that I've learned to help other people. Like I had a neighbor that lived next to me in my apartment. I only talked to her on my balcony. I never saw her in the actual building. I only talked to her on the balcony because she would go out and smoke and I would just be out there taking videos of my crystals. And she one day just started talking to me about her life. And I was like, you need this. Take this crystal with you. I never want to see it again. And after that, I was like, that felt really weird, but also like she really needed that. And that was the last time that I saw her because she literally moved out like the next week.
That's crazy.
And from that, like, I've just thought about like, it's made me more intentional in my relationships because I'm like, I'm listening to your stories and I understand like what you need or things that you're going through. And the magic of crystals is that everything has a vibration. Every single thing, everything that has mass. And those vibrations can change our vibrations because we're made primarily of water, right? Those little energies that come from just a little stone can really raise whatever it is that we need to match what we're seeking in life.
And the other thing that's so cool, and this was, I never knew it until literally the first time I was at your house, and you were like, do you want to see my crystal collection? And we were like, please, that's all we've ever wanted. And so we go up.
And listeners, you will get to see it soon.
Oh my gosh. Yes. But yeah, so we went upstairs.
Well, actually,
and
right, they should have.
Oh, you might have already seen it.
Yeah, you might have already seen it.
Hey.
Let us know in the comments if you've already seen it.
And when you watch the TikTok, watching Shay do her crystal tour and everything, you will love it. But the thing I loved is there's different crystals. Like a crystal itself has the properties that it has because it's that crystal or whatever. But then depending on the form it's in, also depends on the power. So like you were talking about the pillars, those like have a stronger point of power. And if you're sleeping next to it or whatever, you want that pointing towards you or away from you or whatever. And it's just so cool getting into the nitty gritty of it too.
Yeah, she gave me a what's the one for empathy? So when you're an empath.
So this is actually one of my favorite crystals.
Are we
I
gonna
wear
talk about
every
it?
single day. Yeah.
Oh,
So
nice.
this is. Should we just jump into it?
Let's jump into it. Yeah. Okay. Into smoky quartz. Let us drop some knowledge on this smoky quartz that helped me with my empath.
I also love when you do this more than anything in my life, and it just makes me love
This
you more.
she's
I'm
talking
so
to
sorry.
is wiggling your
yes.
fingers.
Yes, I wiggle
Viewers
my
that
fingers.
cannot view us.
Yes.
Listeners.
So when I love something, this is partly from
Spirit
my
fingers.
job. Partly from my job. It's become ingrained in me now. But when I'm having a conversation with someone and they're saying something that I'm like, yeah, I'm supporting you, I send them little wiggle fingers. It's like a visual of like me sending you energy. Like, yes, keep going, go for it, queen or king, whoever you are. But I have a few different crystals that I want to talk about, but we'll start with smoky quartz because this is one of my favorite ones. Specifically with smoky quartz, this is one of those crystals that really locks you in. And each of our members of our coven has some smoky quartz because we are all empaths. Mm-hmm. We all very much get into what other people feel. And I am a teacher, and that's a lot of emotions coming from children every single day. Okay. I actually wear a smoky quartz bracelet every single day in order to kind of balance my energy. Whatever energy is coming towards me, smoky quartz can kind of protect me in that, help me to be available for people, but also not take on that energy. So if you're an empath, you know this very well. You know that if someone is sad or if someone's going through something, you feel it. You feel every single bit of that. And so that's why smoky quartz is so, so, so important, especially for me and our coven, because listen, we are the sensitives, baby, and we got to protect ourselves, okay? But other things that smoky quartz can also do is really like anchor your energy, really ground you and make sure that you are present. Apparently, it's also great for detoxing. So it can release old patterns and help you kind of reset your mind, body, and spirit, which I think is really interesting.
And one of those first times we saw her crystals, she was like, hey, I want to give you some. And she gifted us ones that she thought would really be meaningful to Lou and me. And we both, like she said, got smoky quartz. And she told us to like lay it by our bed and have that point pointed towards us so it absorbs all of that energy that we collected from the day from other people. And so it's just, like I have it on my altar sometimes because I think, it's a good place to have it.
My roommate was having a very hard week at work and talking about just a lot of crazy stuff going on. I don't think I told you this. This happened maybe like a week or so ago. And I ran into my room and got it and we cleansed it and everything. And then I gave it to her so that she could use it for that time. And I don't know, I just thought it's very cool once I don't know. I think I loved getting crystals from Shay because it's almost like that this served me and it loved me and helped me love and whatever. And now I want to pass that to you. And I just think that's beautiful.
Well, and the power of that too, because it was a few weeks ago that a coworker gave you a crystal, and what it means to give a crystal to someone. So you knew, the impact that it gave her and the impact that it gave you. And then it was just like that exchange where when both sides get something, which is really fun.
Yeah. So personally, again, if you feel very deeply, you need to get yourself some smoky quartz. Now, I want to talk a little bit about a few more crystals, and then I want to dive into shapes, because I think the shape of your crystal is also very important. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about amethyst. Now, if you were born in the month of February, that is your birthstone.
Shout out.
So you might be a little familiar with
I was going to say
amethyst.
for that too, talking about, because amethyst is mine, right? Because I was born in February. And it's funny because I feel like you might be drawn to your birth crystal month, or you might not. Like, I've always really thought it was beautiful, but I would always get gifts of it. Like, I had a ring, I have a necklace, and my mom's also February and my sister's February. So we all have like this purple collection, and it's really pretty.
It's actually funny to me. Do you feel a little more connected to amethyst now?
I think I do. When I pulled out my ring, which was like inside my like jewelry box lost, I like cleaned it and I've been wearing it, and it does. It's like this, like almost this nod to, like, it was especially after the zodiac thing, like when you get more connected to all, like, why were you chosen to be born at this time? And why were you chosen to be born in February? And what does that crystal mean to you? And I just kind of been thinking about that.
Well, I say that because amethyst is really, really big for your intuition. Yeah, so I wonder if before this time you weren't really connected to it because you weren't really diving super deep into your intuition and thinking about who you are spiritually. You probably were, but like...
Yeah, just different.
It was a different way. And now you're thinking like really spiritually. And
yeah, that's interesting.
Amethyst might have more of an impact on you. Amethyst also helps with dreaming as well. So if you have nightmares, you can put it under your pillow or next to your bedside table, and that can really help clear all of that out. But it does control your third eye chakra, this is the chakra that controls, like, again, spirituality. You're thinking about like seeing beyond what you can physically see. You're thinking about going even further into the ether. And then also your crown chakra. So like that's your smart, that's your intelligence, right?
This is a little bit of an off topic, but I love the idea of the intentionality with dreaming now. For me, I bought a specific smudge stick that helped with dreams. And one night my toddler had bad dreams and we ran around his room with it and lit it, and we're like cleansing out all the bad stuff. And it makes me think, like, I would love to put an amethyst in their room, just to absorb that, because we can give these beautiful moments to our kids and to the ones that we love, and they can feel that power. Like when we were little and you would stand up in your bed and yell, like, get out of my room, or in the name of Jesus, like when we were all brought up, right? And we would stand up and be like, in the name of Jesus, get out, demon. But really, you're just like taking power, right? You're taking control of the situation and saying, I'm not going to be afraid anymore. And I'm going to be strong. And for when we were little, we dove into Christianity because that's what we were in. But here, like a few days later, he came up to me and was like, Mommy, can we run around the room again with that stick? And I was like, absolutely. Like, I loved it because he felt it.
Right. Well, and even I'm just thinking about like your kids specifically, they are emotional kids, and like they are very in tune with their emotions because they have amazing parents who teach them that emotions are okay. But even having like a smoky quartz in their room for them to not take on, because I don't know, I remember being a kid and I took on everyone's emotions, and I was constantly monitoring and making sure that everyone around me was okay. But how cool would it have been if my parents knew about that and they were like, here, we can help protect your energy, kind of thing.
I already have like I can see that in my kids. I like, especially my daughter, I'm like, me and your Oma, my mom, are going to have to teach you how to not absorb so much, because it's a beautiful thing to be an empath, but it also is an extremely hard thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I can already see that in her, and she already like will come up to you, and
We
so
can make her a little smoky quartz bracelet to wear.
oh my gosh, look on her little baby wrist.
I'm gonna cry.
We're gonna do that tonight.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, continue.
So that's just a little bit about amethyst. Now I want to talk a little bit about black tourmaline. So you are wearing that on your finger, and you've already kind of read the card talking about it. But one thing that I kind of noticed that wasn't on that card, which I'm a little concerned about. Well, okay, so it says grounding, but the way that I know tourmaline, it's meant to be very protective. It's a very,
Which is why I bought it. Which is why I was also like, that's what I thought its main thing was. But
okay, mineralogy deck, I don't know what's going on there, but specifically with black tourmaline, this is like a really good piece to help balance your emotions again, but also like strike out negativity. So smoky quartz does balance your emotions, but doesn't necessarily eliminate negativity. Black tourmaline does.
ooh, I love that.
So there's a little bit of a distinction there. And it does control your root chakra. So your root chakra is the chakra that controls like, this is your physical like self. You are grounded. You're connected to the earth. So it makes a lot of sense for, black tourmaline. But this is a really good piece to have in your collection if you don't have any black tourmaline. And if you're looking for something that's a little more common, you could find obsidian. Obsidian is a lot more common because it's actually made from lava. So as lava hardens and crystallizes, it turns into obsidian. It is not to be confused with lava rock, though. They're two different things.
And a lot of people will put either of these crystals at the front of their house or in their entryway. That kind of protects.
Yep, wards out that negativity.
Wards out that, yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. At the beginning of this month, I poured a little bit of cinnamon under my welcome mat, and I drew a protection sigil.
I love
Ooh, that's awesome.
I know, it's the first time I did it, but I just felt really called to do it.
Yeah. I love that.
I love that you listen to your intuition.
Thank you.
One other crystal that I think is extremely important for you to have in your collection is clear quartz. Now, I was tied between a couple here. Clear quartz is an amplifier. So it's really great at doing even more of whatever crystal you might pair it with. So if you really want to dive deep into your intuition, you could have amethyst and quartz together. It also can cleanse other crystals, but you have to be careful with that. You have to be very intentional, because you want to make sure that you're not amplifying any negative energy that might be trapped in a crystal that you've already used.
I saw someone talk about if you get a bowl made out of quartz, it's a great way to charge your crystals. Like you can put your crystals in it, and maybe before setting it down, you just are intentional about saying over it, like absorb, right? Reset.
Yes, absolutely. Clear quartz can also help things seem clearer. So it can really provide
Clear
a sense
quartz.
Yep.
Makes clear
clarity. Yes, exactly. And the other thing too is that this is another crystal that is controlled by your crown chakra. So again, really balances all of your chakras and resets them, trying to make sure that your energy is aligned so that any tools that you're using, you're doing in the best possible way.
So this is Shaylin's Thanos glove right now. All these crystals she puts in a glove each day and carries it around. A gauntlet.
Yes, my gauntlet.
Is that why your husband got Thanos tattooed on his leg?
Yes. And those are each of the crystals.
Yeah, it's actually not
the Mind Stone. It's not. Yeah, right. It's not the time zone.
Amethyst and clear quartz and obsidian.
Yes. Actually,
I'm like, can you please get that tattooed on you?
That would be dope.
I mean, that would honestly be
okay.
really cool.
It doesn't have to be Thanos, but you could get a gauntlet,
like a gauntlet,
a cool gauntlet,
and then instead of just the little round stones, you've got the points coming out of it.
And then when you
really
snap, instead of half the people dying, you save everybody.
I'm a hero. I love it.
I love it. I just kept on thinking when you were saying these are my top 5. I was like, Thanos's glove.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was a tangent.
You're good. The other thing that I was tied between for this number was selenite, only because selenite is genuinely a cleanser. You can use selenite to cleanse anything. You can use it to clean.
Clean it.
It's a sponge. You just
But you could put it in water and let it soak and then clean with that water, right? You think? Or is it not a water-based one?
Selenite is not water-based. I would not put selenite in water. Any crystals that end in ITE, you don't want to put in water because they will leak their properties and they could be harmful or poisonous. What you can do is, so you can get all sorts of different, selenite is a very common stone. You can get carvings of it. You can get just like slabs of selenite. When my first year of teaching, I had a slab of selenite over the door. And so anybody who walked through the doorway, it meant to cleanse their energy. I'm not going to lie to you. It didn't last very long. I think it lasted maybe 1 week and then it literally flew off of the wall because the energy was palpable.
You need one of those big ones in the corner that just is like sits
right.
there.
You need an arch.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Stargate, just walk through it.
Right.
Of selenite.
When I first got a selenite slab, I literally put a crystal that represented each of my chakras on it and had it like essentially like constantly be resetting and cleansing beautiful. So that, you know, all of my chakras were aligned. I need to do that again though.
We didn't put any ones that in an IE in our shielding mist, right?
No.
Okay.
We did not. I would have.
See, this is why Kay does not do crystals by herself because I'd poison us all with shielding mist that is slowly poisoning us.
Little did we know this was our first and last trip to Salem.
We all died from lead poisoning.
The last one that I want to talk about, only because it means a lot to me and I feel really called to it and I still feel really called to it, is pink amethyst. Yes, amethyst is purple and it actually looks very different than pink amethyst, but it's kind of similar to rose quartz where it is meant to kind of support love. Biggest difference is that it really supports anxiety and fear and sadness. And so, you know, your girl, she got that general anxiety disorder and that general depression. So I have a lot of pink amethyst all around me, and every time I see pink amethyst, I think it is the most beautiful, uplifting stone. It's like this light pink.
I don't have any, but that'll be it. I want one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to be buying a lot of crystals when we're in Salem.
That's gonna be so heavy. Be like, sir, what's in your bag? Nothing. It's just
rocks.
Nothing
I just got a bunch of rocks.
What's in your pockets? Rocks.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
What is that from? I swear that's from something.
It is. I don't know what it is. This is a very side tangent. I was on Amazon looking at denim jackets because I wanted to buy a denim jacket for our trip. And I was looking at the reviews and this person, their review is like, this is a great jacket, but I found a bunch of weird rocks in the pocket. And they took a picture and it was 3 really weird rocks. They were like, they almost looked like spotted, like white spotted eggs. And they were, I don't know.
I would send that back. You do not know what that means.
I was laughing so hard. Okay.
White spotted eggs.
I'll have to find the review again.
Yeah, what if it's like a
I remember
hexing?
Well,
Yeah.
there's snowflake obsidian, but it's black and it's got white spots all over it.
I'm going to try and find
What does
that.
this person do that returns? They just like buy something, put some crystals in it, and return it so that someone can get
I
them
want to
down the
start
road.
doing that.
That honestly kind of would be cool.
I know,
like that'd be your mission.
You don't
like,
know.
Whoever
you put it
buys
out there in the
this-
world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like you go into clothing stores and you just like slip things into pockets. Maybe Goodwill. Maybe that's a better place. Like just Goodwill it up.
We're not thieves. We're anti-thieves.
Yeah, we give.
Weird things, but we give.
Yeah.
I found it.
Oh, you found it?
Those are the...
Oh, this looks like pumice stone.
Pumice.
It's a video, so you probably can't.
Yeah, that looks like pumice stone. Like something you scrub the bottom of your crunchy
I know.
your heels.
That's so weird.
Found these creepy
It's
rocks.
meteorites.
Why, though?
Kind of looks like meteorites too, like that.
Little
holy-
moons.
Moonstone. That's cool.
That's actually not what moonstone looks like at
It's
all.
not. No, but
That's okay.
when we think about what moonstone.
I love moonstone. Moonstone is great for fertility, guys. Actually, fun fact, I had a green aventurine DT and a little moonstone palm at work this past week, and I had it in my hand while I was teaching, and I kept dropping it. And then the last time I dropped it, it sliced in half. And usually what that means is that the crystal has done
Its job.
Like, or it's done enough. Like, it's all that it can do. And the fact that I literally bought it for fertility,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't know what this is supposed to mean yet. Is this good or bad?
Guess we'll see.
We're choosing to believe it's good.
Beginning of a rotor at the end.
We're choosing to believe it's good.
But I love all those crystals. I'm so glad that you talked about all of them. I think that the fact that they've impacted your journey specifically, and how a lot of them you probably just bought to be pretty and then found meaning in each of them. It's like really obtainable for people too. You know what I mean? It's not like I went to school, I studied this.
Right.
I'm a meteorologist. It's
Mineralogist.
Mineralogist. Yeah, sorry. We keep on saying meteorologist. I'm so sorry.
It's not right.
It's not right. It's mineral. But like you just started this journey and then it called to you, and so you continued it, and now you're helping us and others, and I think that's just really cool.
Yeah. And I want like all of our listeners to know that like if you want to get into crystals, then just do it. Like if something looks cool to you, just buy it. Don't think about what impact it's supposed to have on your life, right? Like you can figure all that out in post. You can think about that later on down the road. Like just if it calls to you, if you like it, buy it.
Yeah, I mean, me and Lou went one time to a shop, and it is overwhelming. You walk in, you're like, there are so many things to buy. I don't even know what to. I like literally grabbed a few palm stones just for my husband to. It was tiger eye and I think obsidian, just to help him with his work and just to kind of play with him because he's a fidgeter. So I was like, this is great. And same thing. Like I went in and I was like, I don't know, really want to buy. So I kind of went to the section that's pretty common ones. You know, a lot of what you have given us are common ones that people can understand. Well, like, what's the one I grabbed? Tourmaline, like that. Those ones are the harder ones. Those are the ones you're like, that's a hard one to remember.
Your pink mangano calcite.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
There are ones that are like really hard, and I love that you gave us pretty simple ones but powerful ones.
Right.
But also ones that like you were just saying that people have heard of, and you're not like, is she making that up?
Yeah.
Right.
Did you just sneeze? Bless you. It was a joke, guys.
Oh, I was like, I didn't sneeze.
No, like
the
crystal,
like obsidian. Oh shoot! I did like. Is that what you meant?
Yes.
Okay.
but no one understood.
If you have to explain the joke,
It's not funny.
it's not funny.
Don't stand up. The joke will hit you.
Wop, 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 wop.
But I also do think specifically like to what you're saying. Yes, these are things that are that are more well known, but also very common. So
Yes.
they're cheaper to purchase.
They're accessible.
So right. So if you are like, oh, I really want some rare, I can't think of any rare.
What about emerald?
Emerald is
Emerald.
not common.
Okay, so that's my birthstone. Never felt called to it because it's really expensive and it's hard to get.
It can be expensive, but it depends on the clarity, right? So if it's
in all of the
really, like
emerald,
if it's gemstone quality, then yeah, it's gonna
Like
be
diamonds,
out
yeah.
the
yeah, well,
wazoo.
and that's like what my class ring was emerald, and so the things that we would typically buy for emerald are things that you are going to be wearing, so you need the
What's in your wedding ring?
Moonstone.
Oh, that's So she has. Yeah, I remember when she got it. It was like very unique because we all have diamonds because that's what you get. And she was like, "Nah, I'm gonna get a moonstone."
Well, so like the main stone is moonstone, but then I have diamonds and sapphires, white sapphires all around. I felt really called to the moonstone, and this is actually I felt called to the moonstone before I even got into crystals.
Yeah, I was gonna say this was before.
I got
that.
engaged. Well, actually, no, I got engaged in 2018. So. And married.
But it was at the beginning of your journey.
Right. But
Yeah.
it was before we really like jumped in. So
Yeah.
like all of these that I've talked about are things that are really easy to find. and it's not going to break the bank. So if you are like, I really want to join this journey, like you can literally get on Amazon and just buy some tumbles, and they're like going to be between $5 and $10. There you go. You can put those in your pocket and have them on you, or you can even I love crystal jewelry. I love wearing crystal bracelets because for me, they just immediately it's just a habit that I have. Like, I know I've been wearing these for years. So I'm like, I just put these on. I'm good to go. I'm protected.
How often do you cleanse your crystals?
That is a great question. Thanks for asking. I probably am not the best about cleansing them. If you have like quartz, if you have a quartz bowl, highly recommend just when you take your jewelry off, that'd be great to just throw them in there and then they're automatically cleansed. I did recently cleanse my bracelets and several of the crystals that we're taking on our Salem trip under the new moon.
Because you're also cleansing and charging them.
And charging.
Correct. Okay,
Cool. Correct. So you can cleanse and charge, really like depends on your intention, right? Mm-hmm. You can also use obviously sage, or you could use a misting spray, whatever works better for you. I would say cleanse when you feel like you're going to feel there's a block. So if
a depletion
there's like
of the
correct. So if you're like trying to, have abundance in your life and you have a citrine and you're not getting a lot, that's probably a good sign to go ahead and cleanse, right? Mm-hmm. I also fear that one of the reasons my moonstone broke was because I hadn't cleansed it in a long time. So maybe that was one of the causes. It was just like, girl, we at the max here.
yeah.
I would say if it's something that you're interacting with every single day, you'd probably want to cleanse it like at least once a week.
And I know Lou touched on the shapes, but will you just tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, so shapes are really important in crystals. So we can start with spheres. So this is literally just a big old ball.
They're so pretty though. I love spheres.
Love spheres. They're so cool. But spheres are actually really powerful in that there is an evenness of power, like exertion of the energy of the crystal all around it. So if that's a great thing to have in your house or have in like the center of a room, I think on a coffee table would be great. I mean, think about a crystal ball. Like fortune tellers be looking in their crystal ball and they are looking at the whole, right? So it essentially resembles the earth.
Or at your altar, I have two.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely those are some of my favorites. If you are just looking for a whole space to be flooded in that crystal's power, that's great. There's also towers. So usually these are either in like a four-sided tower, or it could just be like an actual point. But all you need to know is that the point is wherever it's pointing, that's where the power is going.
Kind of like a magic wand, right? Because the power comes from the tip, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Kay actually has a rose quartz wand. It's not a tower. It looks like a tower, but it has a rounded base. Mm-hmm. So it actually is meant to be used with very specific intention and pointed to specific things. With a tower, you could set that somewhere. Just know that the energy is pointing wherever the point is actually going.
And a lot of times you have the point up because that's
right
in that,
Right. And so I think great ways to kind of combat that, like if you have it in your house, think about where it's pointing. Like essentially you have, if you have like an upper level, think about where it's pointing on the upper level. So if you want to protect your kids and you have an obsidian tower, point that, put the tower underneath your kid's room, right? There's also something called a DT, which is a double termination, which means that there is a point on both ends. So it's not a flat bottom. There's 2 points. And a lot of the times this is either because sometimes this is the carver's choice. So sometimes people can actually carve the crystal into this shape, or it's just how it broke. I have this giant double termination citrine that has tourmaline in it. And it's natural. This is not polished or anything. And it's really cool because this is just how nature gave it to me. This is great if you are trying to have the energy go to two different places, or in my tarot readings, I have a pink amethyst that's double terminated that I share between the two. So the person that I'm reading and me. And I said that specifically it's for like anxiety, that sort of thing, but also it kind of helps support like to make sure that whatever I'm reading is balanced. It makes sure that I'm not putting myself into it. I'm giving the person the reading that they deserve and that they need.
Love that.
There's also clusters, and that means that this is like usually the most naturally occurring crystal that you can buy, where there is just terminations all throughout, everywhere.
Points everywhere.
Yes, points everywhere, which is great because you can, again, put this on display and have it cover a large area.
I have a thought on the sphere.
Yeah, tell me your thought.
When you were saying that, I thought about how we create our sacred circle every time we start this podcast and every time we have a coven meeting. And it makes, if you go back to that video where we talk about how creating it, we always visualize this like bubble that goes above and below us, like you're in the middle of a sphere, because it makes you feel the most protected. So you're like in this sphere of light. And it's interesting that you're like, to fill a whole room, a sphere is the best place. And that's what I think of when I'm creating my light, right?
Yep.
I'm creating that all-consuming bright, golden light. And like, it just, the connection there is just really cool in my mind.
Absolutely. I would say those are kind of the main ones. You can also purchase like actual like little carvings. So like I have a pig
Or
made
turtle.
out
I've
of-
seen a lot of turtles.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of penises.
Oh, yes.
So many.
Oh, I have a rose quartz penis.
Yeah, there's so many of them.
It's great.
You should get a fertility one. That's a penis.
Well, the rose quartz one is like, I mean, it's
Love.
great because it's love and it's like really good to have, especially in your bedroom.
Bum, 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 bum.
Or even in your
Spicy.
altar. I actually have it in my altar as one of the things that I'm like really manifesting is just like that romantic sexual love because, fertility. Yeah,
That's awesome.
You can literally get so many different crystals in different shapes and sizes. You can get dragon heads, you can get skulls.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those things are like, now we're kind of getting into like, oh, like this is who you are and your aesthetic. I would say just remember, if a crystal, even if it is a carving, if it has a point on it, then that's likely where most of the energy is going to come from. Or if it's rounded like a skull, like the top of that skull is going to also put out the same level of energy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was super informative for me and hopefully to our listeners.
And just inspiring.
Yeah, inspired. Yeah, I
Go
love
buy
that.
yourself a crystal. You
Yeah.
deserve it.
You deserve it. But we are going to, okay, so we have finished our tea. Just so you know, we've drinking the tea and we are going to take the next steps in the tea reading. Now, once again, we have never done this before, so please do not come out at us if we are doing it wrong. We are just taking the steps of a learning process. We're learning this together with you
doing
guys.
it
So if you have,
We're on a learning curve, guys.
if you guys want to pause right now and go make yourself a cup of tea with loose tea, you can do it along with us, but we're going to kind of
Walk you through what we're doing and we'll learn together.
So right now we have all drinking the liquid, but a little bit at the bottom, and all of our loose tea leaves, and ours has a little bit of like, I think that's flower in there. Cherry blossom. Yeah.
Yep.
They are wet, and you're going to take a paper towel and you're going to flip your cup upside down and basically just do a little dump of
The leftover.
the leftovers, and what's left in your cup is what you're going to read. So we're each going to do that right now. So moment, please.
Moment, please.
I got you.
All right, you guys ready? I'm excited. All right, so we've done the flippity flip, and now we each have a little green in it. And what they kind of recommended is like going off your intuitions. This is what we've been talking about this whole podcast, but really going and looking and kind of seeing what you interpret kind of at the get-go. So Lou,
Well, first,
yeah.
though, you do need to make sure that the handle of your cup should always be on the left. So it should be facing, it should be on your left.
yeah, I have to change it.
And the other thing, too, is that there are 4 quadrants. So you want to kind of mentally divvy up, like quarter your cup. So from the handle to kind of like the 12 o'clock position as you're looking at it, that represents like the next 3 months. So 1 to 3 months from now. Then the next is 3 to 6. And then underneath that, so thinking like the 3 o'clock position to the 6 o'clock position, that would be 6 to 9 months. And then that last one from the 6 o'clock to the back to where the handle is, the 9 o'clock position, that would be 9 to 12 months. So this is like thinking about it as the next year.
And I also think you can read it in kind of like a tarot when you're just asking a question too. Like
Right.
if you want to just when I was doing this, I was kind of thinking of our Salem trip. I don't know what you guys were thinking of, but I think you can also read it with like, what does this mean? And I think you can also do like a time one, like what does my next few months look like?
Really depends on the question that you're asking, right?
Which is funny because like if our audience have ever seen the movie Paranorman, but it's this claymation, and mine immediately I thought about in the movie, it's all about a girl getting accused of witchcraft and she gets executed by a bunch of men. And they have to like every year read her a story to make her go back to sleep. And Norman, who is this little boy in the movie, forgets to do it. And she becomes this like the witch thing. And you don't know she's a little girl forever. And it's like this huge witch face in the clouds. And mine looks like, do you see the face kind of right there? Like the two eyes? I don't know. You have to look at it. It looks like that face, which makes me think, oh.
That's awesome.
I don't know. It just looks like a really fun
that's
thing.
funny.
Like when I saw it, that's what I immediately like saw. So kind of like a face in the clouds.
And I can only think of Harry Potter and seeing the Grimm.
Do you see a wolf?
I mean, I kind of see a dog, but it doesn't really look like it. I have to really like squint and look at it for it to be a dog, you know?
Yeah.
Well, so when I'm thinking about it from like the time perspective, it looks very interesting to me because like the first little quadrant seems like there's not a lot going on, although I feel like I see like a tiny little witch on a broom like riding in the air, which makes sense because I feel like that's very representative of our Salem trip. But then the next like 3 to 12 months after that, like there is a like very rapid growth of leaves all going towards one way. It's very interesting. Like it starts off very small and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then at the 9 to 12 month mark, it's like there's a lot of leaves there. And I'm not able to distinguish like anything in particular, at least not yet.
I know. Okay, looking at mine, it's also funny how you see things when you hear people talking as well. So like,
Yeah.
as you were describing the first quadrant, you're like, oh yeah, I see a witch in a broom. I was like, oh, I see a witch in a broom in mine. And then
Yeah, I do too, actually.
and I'm
Yeah,
like,
we should all look at each other's.
I know. And then like similarly to yours, my first two quadrants don't have as many leaves in them, but the third quadrant, like there's no deciphering. That's like just a bunch of leaves. And I think that's also interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, we love this. I hope you find this
fun.
interesting and I hope you find it inspiring. We encourage you to dive into all different practices. That's what we're learning on this journey. We love trying new things and finding new avenues to express our creativity, dive into this witchcraftness of different
Practicing
divinations.
our intuition. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is teaching us to trust our intuitions.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to grab our tarot read and close up for today. Close the shop. So we're going to grab the 3 decks and pull, and we'll let you know what we get.
Are these supposed to be strawberries?
No, it's mushrooms. Isn't it cute?
Oh.
Yeah, I got it.
I only see strawberries now, I guess.
Uh-oh. Oh. The Queen of Pentacles just jumped out.
Well,
Okay, well, that's
probably-
it.
That's it.
I didn't even shuffle. I shuffled once. It jumped out. All right, guys, I have the Queen of Pentacles from our regular deck, and it is nurturing, practical, providing financially, and a working parent.
Interesting.
Heck yeah. From our apothecary deck, we got Skullcap, which is a very pretty flower. It's purple. The practical uses, it can cause sleepiness. It's used to ease anxiety, can mitigate the effects of insomnia, depression, and nervous tension.
Give me some of that.
I know, honestly.
Skull cap.
And then the magical properties, it's useful in spells of fidelity. You can place in pillows for relaxation and peace, and it's used for binding oaths of vows and commitments.
You just have a pillow full of it for your spouse. You will be faithful to me.
You will.
Huh. Okay. And then the mineralogy pool was carnelian, which is actually so funny to me because I was thinking about mentioning it when we were talking earlier. Specifically, we were talking about moonstone because I also have carnelian next to my bed. This controls your sacral, root, and solar plexus chakras. And its metaphysical properties are, my mind, are mostly for sexuality. This is the sex crystal. So if you're trying to get down and dirty. But this card specifically says joy, protection, energy, easing depression, promoting self-confidence, peace, concentration, focus, action, sexuality, lust, healing, and courage.
You need all of those in the bedroom. There you go.
Right. We need some action.
Yes, and that is our pool for today.
That is our pool
You
for
sounded
today.
like Adam Sandler in Waterboy.
That was our pool for today.
What are you doing?
What a boy.
His whole thing at the Oscars.
Oh, yeah, that was
Oh my
funny.
gosh, that was so good.
I love Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
So everyone, thanks for tuning in. If you have more questions about crystals, please feel free to leave some in the comments. I am more than happy to share my expertise, although it is not huge. But,
Yes,
you know, if you have questions, I got
Yes.
you, fam.
And like, subscribe, and continue to share with your friends and family.
Yes, make sure to
Because
follow us.
we love them and we love you. And we just
Yes.
want to be a big, happy family.
Yes.
We love you guys so much.
The light in me sees the light in you. Bye, witchlings.
What is this?
Hold on. Let me pause this.
Cleo. She said in the middle of you talking.
Yeah,
so
right.
loud. My stomach just growled so loud. It's like.
But it's the fear in our faces when it's
Remember
you
when
and
you were
you're
in
like,
high school and you had like your stomach made noises, or you had to like a runny nose during a test, and you're like, I hate that so much.
oh, it's the worst.
Sorry.
That's how I felt yesterday running.
Yeah.
Because I was like, and I was like, can everyone else hear what's going on right
No,
now?
because everyone else is.
No, there were some people that were just running and they made no sound. And I was like, what? There was a guy who did their 5K run in 17 minutes. They ran 3.2 miles in 17 minutes. And I was like, are you God?
Never,
Like,
it could never be me.
All right.
creepy music.
Creepy music.
That was adorable.
That's going in the credits.